They were very subtle. Mr. Combs was always basically across the room, and it would be in a low tone, and it would just be suggestive. It was anything, nothing aggressive, nothing that would create some sort of scenario that this was like unnatural between them. If there were no accusations, I would have saw it as completely natural.
Bombshell testimony from Cassie Ventura's mother at the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs today. She said Diddy threatened to release tapes featuring Cassie with male escorts. He also demanded that Cassie pay back $20,000 he spent on her.
Just hoping that I'm not viewed as somebody who did something to Cassie or contributed to her experience in a negative way.
Also on the stand Tuesday, Ventura's mother, Regina, who showed photos she took of her daughter's alleged physical abuse, and an email from Cassie fearing that Combs would release a tape or hurt her if she didn't pay him $20,000, a sum he later returned.
May 20th, 2025, a packed courtroom. 3 witnesses take the stand against one of the most powerful figures in music history, Sean Diddy Combs. Their stories don't just allege abuse. They describe a world of fear, control, and calculated silence. This is the breakdown of what happened, starting with the woman who fought for her daughter's safety from the shadows, Regina Ventura. Regina Ventura is not a celebrity. She's not a public figure. She never wanted this attention. She's the mother of Cassie Ventura, the singer, model, and former longtime partner of Sean Combs. And for years, Regina kept quiet while her daughter was stuck in a relationship that, behind the luxury, was allegedly violent and terrifying. But on this day, she took the stand. Her words were simple, but the story she told was shocking. Her testimony discusses blackmail, bruises, and a $20,000 threat. Regina told the court that in 2011, she received a chilling message.
Read this message from December 2011.
Cassandra wrote to me. She said Sean Combs threatened to release a sex tape and go after her and Mr. Muscooty.
How did you react?
It made me sick. Sean Combs demanded $20,000, he said, to recoup losses due to Mr. Muscooty from my husband and myself.
Why did you take a loan to pay Sean Combs?
For the safety of my daughter.
Diddy had found out that Cassie was secretly seeing rapper Kid Cudi, and he wasn't just angry, he was vengeful. According to Regina, Combs threatened to release explicit footage of Cassie unless he was paid $20,000. The implication was brutal. Pay up, or your daughter's privacy and reputation are gone. Regina and her husband were terrified. They took out a home equity loan against their house to gather the money. It was sent to an account connected to Bad Boy Records. But strangely, the money was returned a few days later, untouched. Why? Perhaps it wasn't about the money. It was about power. Diddy could have been showing them what he could do, and making sure they understood how helpless they were to stop him. Then came the receipts, emails, and photos. Regina described an email Cassie sent to both her and one of Diddy's assistants. In it, Cassie expressed that she feared for her life. She feared for Kid Cudi's safety too. She said Diddy had made threats to kill him. That email was shown in court, but what hit even harder were the photos. Regina submitted images she personally took of Cassie during a visit home. In those pictures, Cassie had visible bruises on her body. The images dated back to late 2011, around the same time the $20,000 incident happened. Regina didn't offer speculation. She didn't break down. She stayed calm. She just told the court what she saw and left the jury to sit with it. This wasn't a headline anymore. This was a mother watching her daughter slowly disappear, physically and emotionally, into something she couldn't protect her from. You could feel the energy shift in the courtroom. Regina Ventura, a woman the world had never heard from, had just anchored one of the most emotionally powerful testimonies of the trial so far. But what came next took the case in a darker, more surreal direction. Sharay Hayes is a professional exotic dancer, known in underground scenes by one name, The Punisher. He wasn't famous, but he was well known in private circles, the kind of circles with money, influence, and very specific appetites. Between 2012 and 2015, he was hired for a series of events that prosecutors say were far more than just parties. They were freak-offs. And on May 20th, he walked into court and told the jury what happened behind those closed doors.
When you got there, how did Ms. Ventura appear?
In a bathrobe with nothing underneath and a wig. I was expecting a crowd, but there was no one else. She told me she and her husband wanted to create a sexual scene with baby oil.
What did she hand to you?
$800.
How was the room?
Dimly lit, electric candles, bowls of water with bottles of baby oil in them. She told me not to acknowledge her husband, not to look at him when he came out.
Did he come out?
Yes, he was naked, but I could not see his face. It was like what a Muslim woman wears. You see only the eyes. He had a bottle of Astroglide.
How did you recognize it?
I use it, the purple top.
Sharay testified that he was first approached by Diddy's people to perform for a private client. No details, no questions. He was paid $800 to stage an erotic scene in a high-end suite at Trump Tower. When he arrived, the room was dimly lit. Cassie was there. A camera was set up. He was told to focus only on her and not to look at a man. Sitting in the corner, a man wearing a full face covering. That man, he later learned, was Diddy. It wasn't a one-time job. According to Hayes, this happened 8 to 12 times over the course of 3 years. Each time, the pattern was the same. Cassie would be present, Hayes would perform, and Diddy would watch, silently, or occasionally giving instructions. Hayes testified that Diddy was extremely specific. What to wear, how to act, and how to touch Cassie. Sometimes he gave directions in real time. Other times, he just sat and filmed the entire thing.
How did the direction work?
Mr. Combs might say, sit forward, move the camera, or what would happen sexually. You know, one time during sex, he dropped a stack of money. He said, I like this shit.
How much baby oil did you use?
A lot. We were supposed to be glistening, as much as possible.
How long would they last?
4 hours, a lot of waiting, maybe 40 minutes or so. I was supposed to finish in a specific spot.
One recurring detail stood out: baby oil. Lots of it. Hayes said it was a mess every time. But beyond the weirdness, what Hayes described was something more sinister. A recurring setup designed to degrade Cassie while Diddy controlled every detail. From who was involved, to what they did, to when it happened, it all came down to him. And now, with Sharay's testimony under oath, that world wasn't just rumor anymore. It was documented, verified, and deeply disturbing. So far, the jury had heard from a mother who said her daughter was extorted, bruised, and scared for her life, and a dancer who said he was paid to sexually perform for Diddy's voyeuristic fantasies over and over again. But things were about to escalate further because the third witness didn't come from the music industry at all. He came from the federal government.
Next government witness.
The government calls Special Agent Gerard Gannon. Where do you work?
HSI in Miami in the National Security Group.
In March 2024.
The HSI Human Trafficking Group, Sex and Labor in Miami.
What time did the search begin?
After 3 p.m.
Why so late?
We learned Mr. Combs and his family were flying out of the country.
Was there a pier on the property on Star Island?
Yes, we had to monitor it.
By the time Agent Gerard Gannon took the stand, the jury had already heard stories of blackmail, violence, and sexual control, but nothing quite prepared them for what came next. This wasn't emotional testimony from a parent or performer. This was hard federal evidence. This was the US government laying out exactly what they found behind the gates of Diddy's private world. Agent Gerard Gannon is not a celebrity. He doesn't do interviews, and he didn't arrive in court for dramatics. He's a special agent, with Homeland Security investigations, part of the US Department of Homeland Security. His job? Leading investigations into sex trafficking, racketeering, and organized crime. In March 2024, Gannon led a multi-agency task force that raided Sean Diddy Combs' 20,000 square foot mansion on Star Island in Miami. On May 20th, 2025, he walked the court through what they found and how they found it. Gannon began by describing the scale of the operation. He said roughly 80 to 90 federal agents were involved in the raid. They weren't there for a routine warrant. They were executing a federal search as part of a sex trafficking investigation, and they came prepared. According to Gannon, agents used an armored vehicle to breach the mansion's gates. This wasn't excessive, he said. It was standard protocol when raiding large estates that may be protected by armed security or contain evidence that could be quickly destroyed. The mansion, Gannon explained, was immense and complex. Agents swept room by room, cataloging everything. And what they found backed up months of allegations.
What did you find here?
Parts of AR-15 rifles, sex toys, and Astroglide.
Here, the photos of the guns were shown to the jury.
These magazines were loaded with bullets.
What do these show?
The serial numbers have been cut out.
One of the first things the agents discovered: firearms, not just legally owned weapons. Gannon testified that agents recovered multiple parts of AR-15 style rifles, including upper and lower receivers, and many of them had defaced serial numbers, making them untraceable. He said that some of the magazines were fully loaded. In federal court, this is serious. Altered or removed serial numbers can be a felony in itself, and it raised an immediate question. Why would someone with Combs' security and resources need untraceable guns? Then came the second category of findings, the one that aligned disturbingly well with the testimonies of Cassie Ventura, Sharay Hayes, and others. Gannon listed items discovered throughout the mansion: large quantities of baby oil, lubricant, bottles, laundry, high-heeled platform shoes, multiple sex toys, and a number of used and unused condoms. These items, Gannon testified, were found in multiple rooms, not just in private quarters. They appeared to be part of a setup that corroborated prior witness accounts of freak-offs, orchestrated sexual events involving paid performers, and surveillance. When asked how agents documented the evidence, Gannon said that everything was photographed and sealed before being logged. The visual documentation is now part of the federal case file. Prosecutors asked Gannon about the significance of the items found. He responded not with theory, but with training. In his experience, the volume and nature of these materials, paired with other recovered digital media and layout of rooms, indicated that this wasn't casual behavior. This was organized, deliberate, and routine. The implication: Combs didn't just throw parties. He created a controlled environment where sexual performance and surveillance were normalized, and possibly used as leverage, matching earlier witness accounts that freak-offs were filmed and used to intimidate. Gannon also explained that part of the raid involved the seizure of electronic devices: laptops, smartphones, hard drives, and even security system backups. While he did not go into the content of those devices due to ongoing digital forensics, he confirmed under oath that they were secured for analysis. It's widely speculated that some of the alleged freak-off footage mentioned by previous witnesses could be among these files. If verified, that could provide direct visual evidence of coercive activity, a critical point in a federal sex trafficking case. In many celebrity trials, evidence is murky, filled with hearsay, contradictions, and emotional testimony. But Agent Gannon brought something else: procedural clarity and physical proof. He didn't speculate on motives. He didn't offer theories. He simply detailed what the federal government saw and recovered, and laid it bare for the jury. His presence reinforced one thing: this is no longer just about personal allegations. It's about what the U.S. government believes is a pattern of criminal conduct, serious enough to warrant an armed raid and federal charges. So let's review what the jury now knows. A mother said Diddy extorted her for $20,000 and returned the money just to show he could. A dancer said Diddy paid him to perform sexual acts while he watched in disguise. And now, a federal agent has laid out firearms, sex gear, and digital devices as evidence of what the government alleges was an abusive, coercive operation hidden behind fame and wealth. Sean Diddy Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation for prostitution. But after May 20th, 2025, one thing is clear: the courtroom isn't just dealing with accusations anymore. It's dealing with receipts.